generational dialogue play in African Holocaust and decolonizing empathy?
Storytelling. Well, that's a big thing, right? Because if we're talking about remembrance, the story is what helps you to remember. Because if you become in another world, and if you take on this programming and you forget, then you no longer have or able to help the next generation. You're no longer connected to that responsibility. Storytelling is letting our children know this is your story. Regardless of what anybody tells you your history is, this is your story. And I'm going to just read a quick verse from the Bible. Deuteronomy 4:9 says, "Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen." You're going to forget the things that your eyes have seen. You're going to forget the history that you've experienced. You're going to forget the lynchings. You're going to forget the delectable Negro. You're going to forget all of these things that have taken place to your ancestors up till today. The things that your eyes have witnessed, the things that your body has experienced, your soul, your genetics, your personal experience. You're going to forget what thine eyes have seen, and lest thy depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. It says, "But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons." So the Bible is telling you to storytell. The Bible is telling you, if you don't teach your children, if you don't teach your sons' sons, if you don't teach your daughters, then we will forget all the days of thy heart. So your heart will be waxed cold. The Bible says our heart have been waxed cold. But if we didn't forget, and if we told that story, how can our heart have been waxed cold? How could we have been infused with ignorance if we stayed knowledgeable? The only way you can become ignorant is if you forget the knowledge. You can't become ignorant if you're constantly being told your story. If I wake up and tell my daughter every day, this is who you are, this is what you are, this is what you're doing today, don't let anybody teach you anything different. How can she be infused with ignorance if I'm telling her every day?
Yeah.
But when we stop telling the story is the second someone is able to install a new program. And that's the second we stop telling our story, is the day that we fall asleep. Because we say, I already know that already. I already done that already. It says that in Isaiah 29:10, that there will be a deep sleep. So we have been put so deep into a state of sleep because the programming is the sleep, and the sleep is the programming. But because we have been put to sleep, there's no connection to who we are. There's no connection to our story. So we're letting someone else program us with their knowledge, and we accept it. This is who you are. You were animals. You didn't have anything. We had to civilize you. If my daughter doesn't know who Malcolm X is, if my daughter doesn't know who B.B. Francis Cress Welsing is, who Marimba Annie is, who Neely Fuller is, who Elijah Muhammad is, if my children do not know the silsila, then they can easily be programmed. But you can't program someone who has knowledge of self. But when you are destroyed of the knowledge of self, when you lack a knowledge of self, you can easily be led astray. You can easily be programmed, because if the God of this world is the devil, 2 Corinthians 4:4, what will that God do to the knowledge of self of who you are? In order to worship me, I have to get rid of who you are, or you won't worship me. So the first thing I have to get rid of is your story. So you can believe my story. But if you believe your story, you won't believe my story. So the first thing we have to realize is the second we put down our story can be changed. The second we put down our story can be manipulated. The second we put down our story can be taken. The second we put down our story, our identity is destroyed. So storytelling is knowledge of self. And knowledge of self is the first thing. You have to know who you are. You have to know why you are. You have to know when. You have to know where. You have to know all these knowledge questions about self, or you will become slave to someone else. mentally. You will be mental slaves of the oppressor. And you will always be ruled just because you don't know who you are. It's that simple. It's not even deep. It's just because you don't know who you are, I will rule you. And that's what we've done.